What is going on, everyone? Welcome in here to Bettor Sports Betting on a Monday afternoon. New time for the show here, 2 p.m. Eastern. We are going live now, moving forward. But appreciate everyone joining in here, whether you're watching live or watching a little bit on replay afterwards. I am Dan Servodidio. Got Howard Bender with me to start today's show. What's going on, Howard? We're going to be talking some recapping a little NFL Week 18 and just looking ahead to some of the wild card matchups that we got. Super wild card weekend. But how you doing, man?
I'm doing real well. Very interesting, slate of games on Sunday, things that went down. First and foremost, I mean, the Jags losing to the Tennessee Titans. Listen, I had that in the best bets. I mean, listen, I got screwed up with some prop bets this weekend, but you know what? In all honesty, I mean, Week 18 props. I've told you guys over and over again, I'm not a prop guy. I don't like playing props. You can just take a look and see just how good they are, like with the line movement and stuff like that. I'm a game bet guy. I've always been a game bet guy. I don't need to go granular into the props. I know that that's something that everybody out there loves to do, but me, I'm a game better. And I had the Giants with the points. I had the Titans with the points. I had the under on Jets Patriots, and I had the Cowboys covering that spread. Those were my four big bets. Those were out over there available at fantasyalarm.com. All four of them hit. So, I put a half unit on each of the props. So I didn't get to like tear into some decent profit there because props suck, but whatever.
Listen, Week 18 is always tough from prop betting or even game bets too. I mean, you nailed it, but the prop bets, it's always like, I threw out a couple on Friday's show that were incentive based. I went with like Dalton Schultz. I went with, an Eckler. I didn't bet Hopkins, but if you bet his over on his receptions, you hit on that. But yeah, I was probably wrongly because I'm glad you cashed. And on Friday's show, if you watch Friday, John Pemba was on fire. I think he missed like maybe 2 of his 10 picks. Like he nailed it. My picks were terrible. Full disclosure, I completely missed on this Week 18. I just had some wrong reads. I had the Ravens on that Saturday game, which for most of it looked like they were going to actually cover that, and they were playing them tough. But Steelers did pull away and covered the spread. I did hit on Bills Dolphins under last night and felt really good about that one, even as the day was going on, just with the setup of both teams now. With the Jaguars losing and all the playoff situations in the AFC, the Bills were locked into a playoff seed. So it was truly going to be a game where it was for the AFC East division title. And both teams just really playing, more conservatively on offense. We had some turnovers, but the defense set the tone on both ends. So was happy about that one. But I had the Patriots money line. And listen, John Pemba is a Patriots fan, and he gave me the go-ahead that, thinking that the Patriots should win. So he had the under, which cashed in that game. But I thought the Patriots would come out stronger for Bill Belichick's possible last game as a head coach. This is Black Monday. He has not been fired yet or, resigned or whatever. So we'll see where that goes. But we do have Arthur Smith, Ron Rivera, both gone now. Those are head coaches gone. I think later this week we'll kind of take stock in some of these coaches that have been fired. But crazy Week 18. Yeah, with the Texans now winning the AFC South after they won on Saturday, and then with the Jaguars losing, now the Texans are hosting a wild card playoff game here against the Browns. Some comments here in the chat. We appreciate everyone tuning in here and throwing in your chats here. Britt Flynn, what's up? What's up, Britt? Hi, friends. And Angelo, go blue. Yeah, we are. I will be giving out a lot of bets, player props, some of my game prop bets for this national championship game tonight, Washington versus Michigan, in just a little bit. So stay tuned for that. I got a lot of bets that I want to throw out to people because this will be a fun game to watch. For NFL, let's talk quickly through these wild card matchups because here you can see. The odds, the totals for all these games on Saturday and Sunday. We'll What any game that you wanted to start out with before we look closer at any others?
No, I mean I haven't jumped into any of these matchups yet to like really start doing some spread analysis. There's obvious like weather issues that we're going to have to take a look at, right? With a home game in Buffalo, a home
Yeah.
game in Kansas City, both of those games you're likely to see some significant weather issues. Fortunately, for the other games for, Houston, Dallas, Detroit, and Tampa Bay, we don't have to worry about that stuff. But I mean, we can just kind of go through it. We'll start off Browns, a 2.5-point favorite against the Texans. I mean, I don't really, to be perfectly honest, I don't really know if the Browns should be a favorite in this one. I feel like this is more of a pick 'em, but I'm kind of assuming that the Browns defense is going to get a lot of love. I just don't know if I can like sit here and say Joe Flacco is going to lead them past Houston. D'Amico Ryans has this defense humming a lot better, and they definitely struggled against the run against Indianapolis, and that could be the linchpin right there for this game. But I gotta tell you, I think D'Amico Ryans has some stuff up his sleeve here defensively for Houston. You got a lot of, it's probably you're probably looking at this in the sense of, and the reason that they're favorites is that Stefanski has the playoff experience. He's got, veteran players on his roster like Amari Cooper and Joe Flacco, David Njoku, these guys who, might not feel like the moment is too big for them. You're going to have to like calm down guys like CJ Stroud and Nico Collins. And, if Noah Brown is healthy. So, I mean, it's kind of an even one for me for right now. I don't have a lean yet at all. I'll probably look at money lines more than spreads for this matchup.
Yeah, if I was going to go money line, definitely would take a shot on the Texans there. Yeah, I think that the Browns probably are favored here because they are, like the number one defense in the NFL this year. So, and it's a rookie quarterback in his first playoff game, even though it is at home, which obviously helps. But I think that I would lean under on this one because I do think the Browns defense is going to be dialed in. But as you were saying, I think that this Texans defense sometimes goes overlooked, but I feel like D'Amico Ryans is going to have some stuff ready to go. And it's still, as good as Joe Flacco has been, kind of turning back the clock here, I can't trust him like on a consistent weekly basis right now. So I feel like he could be, having the week off is nice, I guess, for the Browns starters. They basically rested all their main guys this past week, but I would probably lean under in this one, even though it is, in the Texans dome there and, the Texans offense involved. But yeah, it's tough from a spread perspective to back the Browns in my opinion here, even though it's 2.5, you do get the hook if it is a field goal win. But yeah, that's my feel on that. The Dolphins Chiefs game here though, is very interesting. We just saw the Dolphins lose last night at home to the Bills. So now they are a wild card team instead of getting that home playoff game as the Bills are. But they're going on the road to the Chiefs. It's a fascinating matchup here. The Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites at home. The total's at 44. As Britt Flynn says in our chat, and as we were just saying, it's going to be cold, very cold weather expected in Kansas City. That's probably why this total is so low. Considering it is still Mahomes versus this Dolphins offense. But this Miami offense has really over the past like 3 weeks here, because they're just still dealing with multiple injuries. Waddle, Mostert, both just sat out. Probably could both be back for this game, but Hill's been banged up. This offense just is not that explosive, scoring 30 points per game offense that we saw at the beginning of the year. And I feel like KC at home could control this game. And we've seen their offensive struggles, their pass catching struggles. So would lean under, especially with the weather situation. I could just see this being more of a defensive effort on both sides.
It's going to be a very interesting defensive matchup. Obviously, the NFL script writers this season have gotten it all beautifully here, right? Tyreek Hill going back to Kansas City
Yeah.
here in the first round. You've got Stafford versus Goff, Rams, Lions, like that matchup there. Mike McCarthy, takes on his ex team in the Packers. So we've got a bunch of like nice little drama things going on with this one here. Yeah, I think the key here is actually going to be the ground game. I would definitely take a look and see about the, I'm a little concerned for the Chiefs being able to contain Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert. So that's going to be something that, I think we're going to have to follow significantly in this one here. Chiefs lack the pass catching weapons and the consistency. We've been dealing with that. Pacheco against the Dolphins run defense. That's going to be an interesting one. So, yeah, I mean, again, no serious lean on it right now. I just kind of enjoy what they've got going on.
Yeah. All right. How about Steelers Bills? Is the other AFC game. The Bills obviously winning last night, so they get the home game here to host the Steelers. Steelers squeak in after they beat the Ravens and got some help from the Jags losing. But the Bills, 10-point favorites at home, 35.5 is the total. This is another game expected some bad weather, possible snow, cold weather, some wind up in Buffalo. So that's why the total is this low. So I'm not surprised at that. Would probably lean under just because of the fact of the weather situation and the Bills coming off such of an emotional, big time win last night. And losing a couple guys. What we have to check on the severity of injuries to Gabe Davis left that game. A couple of the corners or secondary guys for Buffalo left the game. So just kind of keep note of that. But I feel like this could be just one of those grinded out games for both because the Steelers definitely want to keep this one lower scoring. In their opinion, probably trying to keep it like a touchdown or field goal game so that they have a chance in the fourth quarter. So expect both defenses to really set the tone in this one. Probably another, and this is Saturday night, I think, is this game. So another primetime under maybe in the cards here for this one.
It's possible. I mean, we also have to look at the injuries for the Steelers. It sounds like they're going to be without TJ Watt
that's
in
huge.
this game. So that's going to be a big deal for them as well. 35.5 seems a little, it seems a little low, especially considering that, again, got to check the health of Minkah Fitzpatrick. If TJ Watt's not going to be there, I do feel like this could be this is going to be a tough one here. Shout out to our boy Josh Wagner from Fantasy Alarm and Sirius XM, who has deemed this the year of the dragon for Mason Rudolph. I just don't know if the magic is strong enough here for them. So I'll lean Bills. But we'll see how let's see what the weather looks like. If there's going to be some snow or rain or anything like that. Cold is one thing, right? Cold, yes, it's annoying, but cold and no wind, that doesn't do anything really, like, for my opinion. So we'll just enjoy watching that one there as well.
Yeah, and if you are looking at the spread, on Friday's show, we definitely will dive into some more surefire bets for all these games. But I do want to look closer at the Steelers and how many times they have been underdogs in the playoffs because I feel like, with how good Tomlin has been against the spread as a dog throughout his career, and this has been something I've bet on, over the past few years because it's just, coming true basically, at least in the regular season. So I want to check out how he's done in the playoffs, if that translates over or if just kind of the better team wins out when it comes to the playoff time. So, all right, Packers Cowboys is the first NFC game that we'll talk about here. Cowboys 7.5-point favorites. 50 is the total in this one. Interesting. We got the Packers on the road here. Obviously, they have some playoff history. These two teams, but you said McCarthy now coaching his against his former team. Not in Lambeau. That would be interesting too, but. It's at home for Dallas. With how good Dallas has been at home this season, especially with their offense just scoring at a higher clip at home this year, it has me leaning towards Dallas. It has me leaning towards the over in this. Would probably stay away from the spread because I've gained some more respect for the Packers over this back stretch of the season, with them, fighting to get this playoff spot. And Jordan Love just, him and these young receivers have found something and they are clicking. So would if anything, maybe take the Packers, but I think I would lean the over in this one. I do think we're going to see some good offensive play from both teams.
Didn't Dallas go 8-0 at home this year with 7-1 against the spread at home also?
See, yeah, that's the home field advantage there.
You've also, listen, as much as I love what Jordan Love and the crew have done over there, the real linchpin is going to be how this Packers offensive line holds up against the Dallas pass rush. Dallas has a phenomenal pass rush. They should run it right at Dallas, right? We should see a lot of Aaron Jones if AJ Dillon is healthy and he's going to, be on there. I'm sure that we'll see LaFleur try to hit Dallas hard with the run. You don't want to get into a shootout with the Cowboys. Like that's, between CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson and Brandon Cooks and Jalen Tolbert and Turpin and, just all these fringe guys that they've got going on over at Dallas. There are a lot of weapons to have to go and shoot it out with. And, Jair Alexander is going to have his hands full with CeeDee Lamb, but there's so much other stuff going on in this game. So right now I'll lean Dallas and I'll lean giving them the points.
Yeah, to the over, kind of some trends to look at, looking back at both Green Bay and Dallas this season. Dallas, you mentioned they're really good home record, straight up and against the spread. The over is 5-3 in their home games this year, compared to just 4-5 on the road. So, and they at home they average 37 points per game, which is a league high at home this year for Dallas. And for the Packers on the other side, the over has hit in 6 straight games for them coming into this week, and it's 7-2 on the road for them is the over this season, and they're averaging about 25 points per game on the road. They've been a better road offense, getting away from Lambeau and the frozen tundra. So going on to the turf here, the faster track, I do lean to the over again here for this game. All right, how about the Rams Lions? Big game here. Stafford versus Goff, both facing their old teams. They were both traded for each other a few years ago. The total's at 51.5. The spread's at 3.5 for Detroit, favored at home. Sam Laporta, the big injury for Detroit this past week. The Lions, I saw you saying on Twitter about you thought people should be more outraged about how the Lions, playing their starters. They could improve their seeding by, I guess, like 1 seed, and they ended up doing
they had a 4% chance of improving their seeding. They were locked into the number 3 spot. It was a bad move by Dan Campbell. I get it. You want to get your guys prepared. You want to keep your guys going. You want to, carry that momentum. That's all fine. That's well and good, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't get hurt. David Montgomery didn't get hurt. Jahmyr Gibbs didn't get hurt. But yeah, you did lose Sam Laporta, and he has been an integral part of this offensive scheme. So 4% chance to move up to the number 2 seed or not, it's about the long haul, right? I mean, it really is. At worst, you lose a home game having to play either San Francisco or Dallas this time, right? But I mean, listen, Dan Campbell has mishandled everything from the word go. You didn't need if you really wanted that number 2 seeding, then you would have kicked the extra point and gone into overtime against Dallas 2 weeks ago, right? You wouldn't have been a stubborn idiot and kept going for 2 when you kept getting pushed back because of stupid penalties. So to me, like, Campbell blew it there. And then, yes, if Sam Laporta is not 100% healthy and good to go for this game, then Dan Campbell killed his team, and he hurt his team doing that. I'm not saying that Sam Laporta is the be-all, end-all, but he has been an integral part of this offense, and for me, it was a bad move by Dan Campbell, 100% bad move. I do like this game, but I will tilt towards the Rams 100% because I think McVay can coach circles around Dan Campbell. And if you stuff the run, right, and you stop Montgomery and Gibbs and you stop that run, which, I think the Rams can be capable of doing. It's not the worst run defense in the world. It's not the best run defense in the world, but it sits right in the middle. So if you can contain Montgomery, Gibbs, well, and Laporta is not playing, right? What are you're worrying about Josh Reynolds? You're worrying about Khalif Raymond? No, like to me, that's where we're looking at here, because the Rams have a great ground game with Kyron Williams. They have two of the best wide receivers in Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. You've got fringe other players like Tutu Atwell, Demarcus Robinson. You can throw tight ends, Tyler Higbee and Will Davis into this. So, yeah, I think that this is going to be a very, very interesting game. I think that people are going to take a very long look at Dan Campbell. I think Dan Campbell's going to take a very long look at himself if he does lose this game, because what we've seen for Detroit has been fantastic. But these last 2 weeks, you've seen the coach shoot his own team in the foot.
It's a really good take there. That was a strong, because I was thinking a lot of the same things as I was watching that yesterday, and just thinking this is going to come back to bite them. And I'm taking the Rams plus the 3.5, and I love getting the hook there at the 3.5. If it does go down to 3 at some point, buying that hook there. But listen, the Rams are they're peaking at the right time here going into the playoffs. They've won 7 of 8 games since their bye week. They're averaging, over 30 points per game, which was before last week when they rested starters, and they still, Carson Wentz and the Rams still pulled out that win on the road against the 49ers. But I like Stafford going into his home stadium, his old home stadium in Detroit, and just kind of giving the Lions a little dose here, because I think that the Lions, a great story in all this year, but I do think they kind of peaked a little bit earlier in the year. They haven't been playing their best football for the past month here. And losing Laporta, if he's not 100% or if he's out, that's a huge absence for this offense, because passing-wise, the Rams can really blanket more coverage over to Amon-Ra St. Brown, force some of their other fringe receivers, secondary receivers to beat them when you don't have to worry about what Laporta is. So, yeah, it's I think it's very notable here. The Rams defense hasn't been great or anything, but I just think that if the Laporta injury is bigger than I think people might think. So, all right, how about so the last game of the wild card weekend, we got Monday night is the Eagles Buccaneers. Eagles are 3-point favorites on the road here in Tampa Bay. 44 is the over under. And listen, Howard, I gotta let you tell me what you think of this game, because as most Eagles fans are probably right now, I don't expect them to win any game right now. After what I just saw, after what I've seen the past 5-6 games, this is bad for the Eagles, and I don't think they deserve to be favorites here on the road in Tampa Bay, even though they are.
Stop. Tampa sucks. Listen. Tampa's pass defense is atrocious. They funnel
the
everything.
Eagles suck right now.
You do. You definitely do. But Tampa Bay. First and foremost, Baker Mayfield has not looked good in these last couple of weeks. All right. He's also banged up. Rashad White, great, but Eagles run defense, fine. And getting up for this game, I think they're going to be fine for that. So it's the secondary against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Kate Otten or whatever it is like that. On the other hand, you've got the Tampa Bay defense, which, for DFS and betting purposes, we've been targeting against the Tampa Bay secondary all year long. And it hasn't changed from week 1 to week 18. They're still terrible group of defenders. And so when you've got A.J. Brown, when you've got Devonta Smith, provided everybody is healthy, that's something we have to.
A.J. Brown hurt his knee yesterday.
A.J. Brown hurt his knee. Hurts hurt his finger.
Hurts his finger. Devonta Smith was out, and we don't know what his health status is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're going to have to watch the injury report, but listen, I think everybody and their grandmother's going to be like, oh, the Eagles are limping into the playoffs and they look terrible and they got their asses waxed by the Giants. I'll take Tampa with the point. Screw that. I'll take the Eagles with no weather issues, in this one here against Tampa Bay's very suspect defense being led by Baker Mayfield. It just doesn't work for me. It really doesn't. I'd be extremely surprised to see the Eagles not win this game. I'll look at maybe money line. I'm not going to look at spread or care about that. But I mean, Eagles are minus 145 on the money line. Bucks are plus 120. I think Vegas is giving a little too much to Tampa Bay here.
I don't know. Listen, this Eagles team has collapsed here. This is the lowest I've seen in a couple years now for this team. This is bad.
I think they'll get it together. I mean, listen, again, you knew you were going to the playoffs. Forget about what you saw in week 18. Forget it. Who gives a shit? There was no chance that Dallas was going to lose to the Washington Commanders. You had no reason to put anybody out there to move up from the 5 seed. You could take a shot at it, but the Eagles did the right thing. Get A.J. Brown out of there. Let's get his knee worked on. Get Jalen Hurts out of there. Let's make sure the finger is okay. Week 18 doesn't mean squat for them. They were locked into the number 5 seed. Again, it's like Dan Campbell playing his starters out there for a 4% shot at moving up a seed. Again, Sirianni did the right thing, pulling everybody. Once the Giants started going up, I mean, you're talking about a divisional game here. Giants-Eagles, the rivalry is probably bigger than any other rivalry in the NFC. Right? I mean, to me, Giants-Eagles is bigger than Giants-Cowboys. It's bigger than Eagles-Cowboys. It's bigger than Niners-Cowboys. It's bigger than Lions-Vikings, Lions-Packers, whatever you want to say. Eagles-Giants has long been an historic rivalry. And, you knew the Giants were going to play them tough a couple of weeks ago. You knew the Giants were going to go all out for this game here. I think you're worrying too much, Servo.
Listen, you're right in everything you just said. But this is going back multiple weeks now for the Eagles. They collapsed against the Cardinals, let them come back and win that. They still let the Giants hang around, as you were saying, the week before. They collapsed against the Seahawks the week before that, had that game in the bag, and let the Seattle go down and score a touchdown to win. They got killed by Dallas the week before, got killed by the 49ers the week before that. We haven't seen them be like a playoff caliber team in over a month now, in my opinion. So I know how bad Tampa Bay has looked. They only scored 9 points yesterday against the Panthers, but this is maybe the under is the way to go here because the offense the vibes are weird right now. A lot of quotes from like A.J. Brown and a lot, just the offense saying we got to figure things out, but there was talk before this past game against the Giants when everyone was asking them about like, oh, have a lot to play for. Like, what's the motivation for playing starters? What's the motivation for playing well instead of resting this week, looking ahead to the playoffs? And a lot of the quotes and stuff coming out were that, this is a good chance for us to get back on track after losing to the Cardinals, a couple of bad weeks. And that I really thought, I didn't bet it at all. I stayed away from this completely, but I really thought they could go out there and win by double digits against the Giants, kind of get back on track, good momentum heading into the playoffs. And that was over fast. And I mean, they sat guys in the second half. But
take your fan hat off. Listen, okay. I get it, right? You've got all because you're sitting here, you're looking at it from a fan perspective, as opposed to looking at it really from a straight up, let's bet the playoffs kind of perspective. You're concerned as a fan, you crumbled, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, shit happens over the course of a very long season. Playoffs are a different sort of animal here. And you have to look at it straight up as a matchup against Tampa Bay. It's not a matchup against Dallas. It's not a matchup against the Giants, who you've seen twice in 3 weeks. I mean, it's like you're playing a team that you haven't played all year, right? You guys haven't played the Bucs this season, have you?
Well, they did. They played them. I think it was a Monday night game back in the third week of the season.
Oh, what happened in that game?
You set me up for this.
What happened in that game?
They won 25-11.
Oh, stop looking at it from a depressed fan perspective. Look at it from a betting standpoint only. All right.
That's fair.
If your Eagles, listen, I'll tell you flat out. Yes. If your Eagles do not get their shit together for this game, well, then, yeah. I mean, listen, if they win this game and they look bad doing it, well, you can just write them off for the next one there. But I'm not going to write them off for the way that the tail end of this season, ended up in a collapsed state for you guys. Stop worrying so much, buddy.
I like hearing this. Thank you, Howard.
Just because you're the only, just because your team did did what? Well, you lost 5 in a row here to close out the season, and the last time a team did that was the Jets in 1985.
I saw that,
85 or 86, something like that. The year that we fired, no, actually we kept Joe Walton that time around there. It was in the early 90s where we fired Pete Carroll so that we could grab, Rich Kotite from you guys. So don't sweat it so much, Servo. You'll be okay. I promise you.
Thank you, Howard. You got me back on track. So they'll squeak by Tampa Bay, then get blown out by whoever they play next. That's fine with me. All right. That's about it for NFL. Again, later in the week here on this show, we'll be giving out our best bets for all these wild card games. So stay tuned for that. Howard, been awesome having you on this Monday edition of Bettor Sports Betting. We'll surely have you on again soon here. And thank you, man.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I will. I'm actually gonna go and I'm gonna switch over from our behind the scenes scene here to our YouTube page over at Fantasy Alarm so that I can make some picks for the national championship tonight. Please, dear Lord, Washington beat Michigan. I hate Jim Harbaugh.
Oh,
I hate Jim Harbaugh.
You might hate what I'm about to say that.
Surprise me. Surprise me. I'm out of here. I love you so much. Best of luck to you tonight and all your action.
See you, Howard. We'll bring in our producer, Adam Bernard, because he's going to help just preview this game with me for tonight. National championship, Washington, Michigan. Should be a fun one. Both undefeated teams here.
Yeah, and I mean, I have a little bit of I shouldn't say I have personal interest in this, but a neighbor that I'm buddies with, let me give you a good live look. And you see that Washington flag there outside his house? This guy loyally flies this flag every Washington game. It's up by the time you wake up in the morning. I feel like some of your picks he's going to like, some I don't know if he's going to like so much. So are you going to upset or please Bill today here? What's going to be the verdict?
So, he won't like my game bet for this. And I'm going Michigan. Angelo in the chat there saying, go blue. Listen, Michigan is the better team, the clear better team in this scenario. Washington's season has been really impressive. Similar to TCU last year. I don't want to compare them because they're two completely different situations and teams, but it's just kind of a situation where we saw, great story from TCU, but they got smacked in the national title game against Georgia. Again, not apples to apples, but Michigan is kind of like built similarly to what Georgia was. Strong, elite defense. They love to pound the run game. This is a power rushing team where if you can't stop the run, if you start getting behind in the trenches, lose the battle on the line, especially on defense for Washington, it could just be turning into a long game, in my opinion. So I have Michigan here minus the 4.5. A couple factors in this one quickly. First of all, this is the best defense that Washington will face this year. Oregon was great in certain aspects a couple times early this year. Last week, Texas was, a team that was better against the run, but they struggled against the pass, which Washington's a lot better passing offense, took advantage. But Michigan's a team where they've been strong against the run. They've, very good cover corners, one of the best in the country, Will Johnson. I just see this situation where, if they start figuring out Penix, if they start pressuring Michael Penix, which is a big factor in here because Michigan's D-line is an elite one. This defense has multiple future NFL draft picks this year, next year coming out here. If they get Washington just kind of one-dimensional and kind of sit back, maybe pick off Penix once or twice, sack them, pressure them, make them throw off balance on the run. The Washington run game, I don't think is going to be a huge difference maker because their starting running back Dylan Johnson got carted off in the semifinal win. He's been dealing with like a foot injury all year, but it looked like kind of a bad ankle sprain in that last game. They're saying, he's expected to play. I think it might be kind of like gamesmanship because if they say he's out, then it's a huge advantage for Michigan. I don't see how effective he is if he does play. I could also see him not playing at all, Dylan Johnson. So that's a huge kind of thing to watch early on in this game. But on that note, if Washington can't run the ball effectively, Michigan can, sit back in coverage and limit these really good Washington receivers because they have good cover corners to kind of limit them. Pressure, get to Penix in the backfield where he hasn't been sacked a lot this year because Washington's O-line has been good, but they also just have not faced a D-line like Michigan's all season, in my opinion. So it's a tough spot for them. On the other side, Michigan is just going to, I think, set a tone early and look to set the tone on the ground early with Blake Corum as their workhorse. Using Donovan Edwards too is kind of like the change of pace, but the Michigan power ground game, power running attack is not something that Washington has faced, pretty much all season. They faced a couple good running teams, but nothing on the level of what Michigan wants to do, which is, grind out 3-4 yards a carry on most downs, get into short, manageable third downs. They don't have to put a lot of pressure on J.J. McCarthy passing wise and force him into mistakes. But if Washington doesn't get Michigan into long third downs, I think it could be an issue and see Michigan kind of, getting a comfortable win here. Obviously, Washington has the explosive, like downfield passing ability to score a touchdown on any play, honestly, with Odunze, Polk, McMillan, all connected with Penix. But I don't see that happening or having too many chances for that to happen in this game. I think it's notable also that Michigan just coming in here, look at the teams that they've beat and won. Alabama last week, a very good defense, and it's miles ahead of what Washington is, in my opinion. Iowa's defense in the Big Ten title game, Iowa's offense stinks, but their defense is good. Ohio State in the regular season finale, their defense is good. Penn State late in the year. These are all defenses that I would put above Washington. Michigan's gotten past it and passed the test. And they won all those games, by the way, by at least 6 points. So I see the spread 4.5. If you look around, I think it's at 5.5 in some spots. I got 4.5. So if you want to shop around, but either way, I do think this should be at least a touchdown win for Michigan in this game.
All right. So you're saying that they're going to.
Sorry to your neighbor.
It's all right. Bill will get over it. So it sounds like you got to lean on the total here because if you're saying that Washington won't be able to run the ball and Michigan's going to play some ball control by running the ball, seems like you're leaning more towards one direction than the other on the total.
Yeah, I'm going under on this. And by the way, real quick, I just wanted to mention this. So there's a recent trend to kind of pay attention to in these national championship games. The favorite for 4 straight years has won and covered against the spread. So this is it used to be the underdog previously before that was winning outright, covering spreads. But in these past 4 years, we've seen the favorite win and cover the spread. Obviously with Georgia last year, but it's now gone 4 years in a row. And they're covering the spread by an average of 12 points per game. So I think that's just some recent history proving that the better team on paper is coming out and proving it in these national title games. So that's another reason why I'm going Michigan. But yeah, I do like the under with the kind of the game script I was kind of laying out there. I think Michigan is just going to really want to control the tempo and flow of this game to be lower scoring. They do not want Washington out getting these explosive plays. I feel like they're going to really blanket their coverage to make sure that, Odunze, McMillan, Polk aren't getting behind the defense. And, really, if Michigan gets down multiple scores, it could be trouble. So they could, Washington could get a touchdown early, but I just think that Michigan's really going to try to limit what Penix and the passing offense can do. And as I mentioned, on the other side, I just think they're going to really look to just grind the ball on the ground, run the ball a ton with Corum, Donovan Edwards mixed into. They're going to string together long drives, basically try to play, the time game with keeping the Washington's offense on the sidelines. They're a dangerous offense. They want to keep the ball away from them, basically. But yeah, the under. So looking at Michigan's games this year, and I kind of see this happening, this game playing out as a lot of their games have played this year, where they control the clock like this. They really limit the other offense. And 12 of Michigan's 14 games this season have gone under this total 56.5. Which I think is just a trend that's going to continue in this one. It's a little, the total here is a little, pushed up a little bit because Washington's offense is in the mix. So I get that, but I just think it's going to be a little lower scoring. Michigan's defense also has not allowed more than 24 points in a game this year. So it's just kind of factoring into keeping Washington a little lower scoring and Michigan just kind of grinding it out. It just points to the under with how I think this game's going to go.
Got Jerry Bagshaw in the chat. He agrees Michigan wins by at least a touchdown on your earlier pick. Angelo made it clear today, go blue. He's on that side. And like Jack says, make sure we hit the like button here. That always is
thanks,
helpful.
Jack. Thanks, Jack. Yeah, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel here, Fantasy Alarm, Bettor Sports Network, wherever you guys are watching. We got, we're doing college football here, but we do NFL. Obviously, we're doing NBA, NHL are in full swing. College basketball, we're giving out picks every day here on the channel. So keep coming back and throw your picks, your bets in the chat here as you guys are doing, because I want to see where you guys are at too. Because this isn't just me spouting what I'm saying. I want to hear what you guys are saying. Yeah.
All right, so we got a couple of game props we like before we get to player props specifically. So what do you like first?
Yeah, I want to throw a couple. These are fun bets just to have going. If you don't want to bet the spread or the total, whatever. I got some player props in a little bit. Got a couple game props real quick. First one is just, again, in line with basically everything I was saying about liking Michigan in this game, liking the under, and it's Washington team total under 26.5. This was on Caesars this morning. So I just think that, again, as I said, Michigan has not allowed more than 24 points in a game this year. I know Washington's offense is very dangerous, can score on any possession, on any pass. They could take it to the house. But I just think Michigan's going to really try to keep things in front of them passing-wise, really frustrate Penix at times in this one. And yeah, taking the team total under for Washington, staying away from Michigan's team total, because like we saw last year with Georgia against TCU, it could get out of hand for the favorite, scoring a lot. But I do think that the team total for Washington is going to go under here. And then the last one, this is kind of one where I just think that Washington is going to look to really be strong on their first possession. And this might matter whoever wins the coin flip, whoever gets the ball first. But I do think there's a good opportunity to take Washington first quarter against the spread. So it's plus a half a point, minus 115 on Caesars. But basically, you're betting on Washington to either be tied or leading after the first quarter. I could see this being, a 7-7 game after the first quarter, or 3-3, or maybe either winning 10-7 or something. But I do think, like, early on, the first couple of series for Washington, to them to have a good script. Kalen DeBoer has kind of shown this throughout the year, where he has a good script to start out the game to get Penix comfortable. Like, all right, we're going to go here, here, and here. Might catch Michigan's defense off guard a little bit until they adjust and really, adjust. All right, we're going to now focus on shutting this down because this is what they're trying to do. So, but I do think Washington could start out a little bit better, even though I like Michigan in the game here.
All right, so there's a couple of team related props. Let's head over to the player side now. We got one in the chat. Jerry Bagshaw again over on the Penix interceptions there. So that's one he's looking at for tonight.
I agree. So I have to let me just look real quick because the last time I looked, his interception was very much juiced to the over, to the over. I think it was like half an interception. So, but if you think he gets picked, twice, you could look at that going over 1.5. But I do think if you want to throw that in in a parlay, I do think he gets picked off tonight. So I think it was juiced like minus 200 or something like that. So I do like that, Jerry, though. I do think he could throw a pick tonight. Sorry, what?
I was gonna say you do have a pick on the Michigan side of the ball here before we get onto the Washington side.
Yeah, I got 3 quick props here. One is Donovan Edwards, over 27.5 rushing yards. This is on BetMGM. Quorum's rushing yards is like at 100, 101, 104, wherever you're looking. I'm looking at Edwards, though, because I do think they're going to look to get him involved a little bit more as like their change of pace guy. He's been the secondary ball carrier all season long to Quorum. There's no denying that. But I think after last week, Edwards only had 11 rushing yards on 4 carries. But before that, he went over this prop in 4 straight games, and he's been over it in 7 of 14 games this year. So half the games he's been over this prop. I just think that they're going to use Quorum and Edwards, I think both a lot in this game. Usually Edwards can see double-digit carries, even though he is in that secondary role behind Quorum. So I just think that he's a guy that can bring a little bit more burst. If there's times where Quorum is getting bottled up, maybe they bring in Edwards and he can rip off a 10, 15-yard carry. And I think he only needs like 5-6 carries to go over this number, in my opinion. If I think, as I've said, Michigan has success on the ground here. So yeah, give me the over on Donovan Edwards. And then on the Washington side of things, so the kind of playing into the same game script, that's what you got to do with some of these props. Just kind of, if I the way I'm seeing this game is a certain way. So it's going to lead to more Washington passing overall, especially with the situation with Dylan Johnson's injury for the run game. I could see them really looking to use some short passes as basically their run game for Washington, screen passes. But either way, Jalen Polk over his receiving yards tonight. It's 49.5 on Caesars. Again, look around. This was the best number I saw, but I think this line's a little too low, even though Michigan has really good cover corners, but their best guy, Will Johnson, I think we're going to see him shadow Rome Odunze a lot. They shadowed Marvin Harrison with Will Johnson in the Ohio State game. And I think there's possibility that they do something similar because Odunze is a real difference maker and the true, number one in this offense. But Polk been really good himself. And I think it's just the situation is going to put Polk in some better spots, seeing a little bit softer coverage. And he's had 50+ receiving yards in all but one game this year. So that's 11 of 12 where he's had 50+, and he's done it in 7 straight. So I just think this line's a little too low for what we've seen consistently from Polk as, the number 2 or number 3 receiver in this offense. Yeah, sorry, I was just rolling. The last one, player prop wise, I got here. Jack Westover, the tight end for Washington, going over his receiving yards. Similar situation. I think Michigan's defense is really going to try to limit the receivers, especially Odunze, McMillan, Polk. And I just think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for Michael Penix to just look for, his safety valve for shorter completions to the tight end, Westover here. He had 6 catches for 59 yards in the semifinal versus Texas, did Westover, and we saw a similar situation where Texas was focusing more of their coverage on the receivers downfield. Westover was kind of just emerging as an easier option for Penix underneath. So I think we're going to see something very similar in this matchup. Because, by the way, Michigan, if you look back at some of their games against some of the better tight ends they've faced, some offenses, especially late in the year, have looked to go their tight end route a little bit more against Michigan because it's just how their defense is set up with a really good D line, really good secondary, but the linebackers are kind of like their weakness, if you will. So, the over on Jack Westover's receiving yards.
All right, so we got some player props there. Now, if you're somebody that's into like the all-time history of the series, the Wolverines own an 8-5 record. The last meeting came back in 2021, which was a 31-10 victory for Michigan, and they've actually met 4 times in the Rose Bowl. Series split there. Their last meeting came back on New Year's Day '93, which was a 38-31 barn burner win for Michigan. This was 1 year after they had met in the Rose Bowl prior, which Washington had won 34-14 in Pasadena. Now, who's going to get in the end zone tonight? Anybody in particular?
I like those little nuggets of the series history. All right, I got one, a little dart throw. Because you could bet on, Odunze, you could bet on Blake Corum to score a touchdown here, but I'm looking at the Michigan tight end Colston Loveland as my anytime touchdown pick for this, plus 250 on BetMGM. He's been one of Michigan's better pass catchers in some of the big games this year. It's essentially him and Roman Wilson as like the top guys when things get tight. Cornelius Johnson's kind of dropped down a little bit in the tier, in the pecking tier there in the targets. But Loveland, I think, is going to, be in some good spots because I think Washington's defense, especially when we get down near the goal line, with how much of a touchdown machine Blake Corum is, I think Washington's defense could end up selling out, to stop the run up the middle against Corum. And I feel like it could create some, if Michigan's coaching staff really game plans and sees that, then I think they can really set something up for Loveland to kind of pop out for an easy touchdown for Michigan. The Washington defense has struggled against some tight ends this year. And I think last week in the semifinal, we saw Texas use Jatavion Sanders, their tight end, a lot. And a little bit more than in recent games. I think they were looking to exploit some of that matchup against Washington's defense. Oregon also did it against Washington in some of their games this year. So I think it's on tape and kind of out there that Michigan might try to do the same thing with Colston Loveland, who's been pretty good. He was quiet last week because Alabama really looked to shut him down basically. And he wasn't much of a factor, but I see him bouncing back. Looked at his, if you want to look at his receiving yards as well, I think it was at like 36.5, but I'm just going with anytime touchdown here.
There you go. Mr. Charles Woodson, very happy with the picks you've made today. So I'm sure he'll be watching tonight somewhere. He's not actually at the game. I would imagine he's there, but good stuff for the college picks tonight.
Yeah, I had to go deep here. It's the national championship. I don't usually give out player props on this for college, but had to really look into it. So yeah, if game bets, we got prop bets for the game, we got player props, and a touchdown prediction. So we'll see how all this shakes out. But either way, enjoy the game. Should be an awesome watch.
I'll be watching.
Thank you, Adam, for helping me out there. That's it for us. Again, new time on this show moving forward, at least for now. It's 2 p.m. Eastern on Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm. So keep watching throughout the year here. Coming up later today, 5 p.m. Eastern, as usual, the NBA DFS live show with John and Pemba and James Grande. And then 9 p.m. Eastern tonight, we got Monday Night Rants with Edward Rouse. So stay tuned all night as you're watching the College Football National Championship to get your NBA fix and get your fantasy football NFL fix, of course, with Edward Rouse. But we'll be back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern here on Bettor Sports Betting. Appreciate everyone chiming in on the chat here and tuning in. And good luck with all your own bets, and we'll see you guys later.
Bettor Sports Betting on the Bettor